Nothing changed until I realised this. Okay, so here we are. Slightly longer form videos to the usual. And I want to use this to try and dive into topics in a little bit more detail that's going to be able to help you a little bit more. So for the first one, I wanted to jump into one of the biggest things that held me back for a long time. So I started training when I was around 12, 13 years old. And from that time all the way through to sort of late teens to 20s, so 6 to 7 years worth of training, I didn't see that much progress in terms of muscle growth or anything like that. And there was a few reasons why this was the case, but the main one was I was holding myself back. I realised that through those years, I was spending a lot of time, degrees, courses, qualifications, learning as much as I could around training, around nutrition. But I realised over time that it doesn't really matter how much you know. You could know everything that there is to know, and you still might not get a result with yourself because you're probably going to be holding yourself back. And if you think about this for a minute, if you've got a goal, let's say you're wanting to lose some body fat and you set yourself a structure, you know exactly what you need to be doing, you know exactly how many calories you need to be eating, exactly how many times you need to be training, you know what you're doing with your expenditure, everything is ticked off, everything is planned. If you've had a long day at work, if you've been really stressed out and you're tired and you plan to go to the gym that night and you get towards the end of the day and you really don't want to do it, it's going to be super easy for you to talk yourself out of going and doing that workout. And you'll probably come up with a few different reasons or excuses to convince yourself that you're actually doing the right thing and that this was the best decision for you. And you can convince yourself of that really easily. So you won't go to the gym that night and you might skip that session and go in a couple more days' time. And it's the same with nutrition. You might be on a set calorie target, you might be sticking well to that through the week. Something comes up through the week or on a weekend, a social occasion, a birthday, meal out, whatever it is, and you manage to convince yourself that, do you know what, it's okay, I can just go and enjoy myself tonight, I'll get back on it from tomorrow. The problem is, this is never a one-off situation. And it tends to repeat, and we don't necessarily notice that happening. Now, you might still be able to get some good progress through that period of time, but you won't necessarily be making the amount of progress that you're capable of doing because you're holding yourself back. You're letting yourself off. And for me, that's where beginning to work with a coach in my early 20s changed everything completely, because I couldn't make those excuses for myself anymore. I couldn't just let myself off with a half-assed session, only sticking to my nutrition targets 6 days of the week, because I knew that somebody else was going to be reviewing what I was doing and they were probably going to call me out on it. Because you can convince yourself, and I used to convince myself really easily as to the reasons why I shouldn't be going to the gym tonight, why I should skip that session. But the second you then have a coach, the second you have someone to be accountable to, the first question you ask is, are they going to believe that? Is this reason good enough to get them to agree with me? 9 times out of 10, you're going to realise that it's actually not, and all they're going to do as your coach is going to turn around and tell you, that's not a reason, that's not an excuse, you should have gone to the gym. And you know this, but now you physically have someone else there who's going to be upfront with you and who's going to hold you accountable to actually go into the gym. And that's what makes a difference. Not only are you now not skipping those sessions, you're now sticking to the targets much better. Even if you work in those social occasions and plan ahead for them, which is perfectly easy to do, you have someone that's going to be making sure you stick to that plan. And that is the biggest difference. And that one thing, hiring a coach, working with someone else, having someone there to be accountable to, who wouldn't accept my excuses, who would call me out if I knew I wasn't putting in my full effort. It forced me to actually do things differently, and it forced me to put that extra bit of effort in, to be that little bit more consistent. Unsurprisingly, you get much better results. And that's from someone who already knew what they were doing, who had trained for years in training, in gym work, in nutrition, who knew everything you needed to know to actually get a good result. But it wasn't until I started working with someone else and had that external accountability that I started getting the results that I wanted, because I was holding myself back and I was letting myself off. And if you're listening to this and you're sort of in two minds about, is that me? Do I let myself off? Ask yourself, How many times have I caught myself saying the phrase, my training's really good, I just need to sort my nutrition out. Or I've got a few occasions coming up, so I'm gonna start dieting after those. These little things, they don't go away, and you need to make sure that you can work with them and you can plan ahead of them, and that's what having a coach will do for you. So, video number 1, done. All about the one biggest thing that held me back for a long, long time. Hope you found this useful. Please remember to like it, share it onto your socials, drop me a message if you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video.